Today we start graphing lines, and there's so many different ways to graph a line in an algebra class, but the first way and the most popular way is called slope-intercept form. And mathematicians are not creative people when it comes to naming the forms of their lines. They call it slope-intercept form because you can look at it and tell what the slope of the line is and what the y-intercept of the line is, the slope and the intercept. And here's where I usually roll with it. I do this. Sometimes I call it steak and potato form because that makes a little more sense to people, because you know what you need to write an equation in steak and potato form? You need some steak and you need some potatoes. Are you with me on that? Like, you have to have those two ingredients to have steak and potatoes. So for slope-intercept form, we need a slope and we need a y-intercept. And last time, remember how we went over the fact that the slope is the letter m, right? You know, so slope is m. B is the y-intercept in that situation. And in your equation, there's also some y's and some x's. That's just going to make the line graph itself, right? So here we go. Do they give me the steak and the potatoes? I need a slope and I need a y-intercept. Do they give me the ingredients that I need? So we will write our equation. It will be y equals m is the slope. So in this case, you see how that is the number 2 because they told me so. You got to put an x next to it. And then the y-intercept is a -3. So instead of putting plus -3, are we cool that we can just go with -3 in that case? Number one error you'll make on homework is forgetting to type the x. You know, it's like, don't forget you have to type the x, right? The x is there. To graph this, the y-intercept is very, very simple why its name is. Would you believe this is the y-axis right here? You know, that's where that line will cross the y-axis. So I will plot the point at 0, -3 first. So I'm going to start way down here. Are you cool that that is like at -3 on the y-axis? And then what we do with our slope is we do some rising and some running. The weird thing is, I like that to be a fraction for me to rise and run. So if the slope is the number 2, what is 2 as a fraction, baby? And you don't have to write it as 2/1 in the equation. You just have to treat it like it's 2/1. So we will rise 2. So start with your pencil on that green dot right there. You're starting at the y-intercept, rise 2, and then run 1. Do you see how I put myself a dot right there? Rise 2 and run 1. Then I want to do that 4 times if possible. I want to have 4 dots if possible. So I want to rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1. Here's my question. Could I have went down 2 into the left one? Could I have done this, down 2 into the left one? Could I do that? Is this red number here really the number 2 after you simplify it? If I went down 2 into the left one, do you see how it's going to line up with those other green dots? And if I go down 2 into the left one, so we'll learn that. Then please take your straight edge and connect the dots. Make your line go all the way through the grid that's provided. And put arrows on it. The arrows are important. The arrows mean that thing goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. So we're just graphing a line from slope-intercept form. Let's try that again here. I need the slope. Boom. I need the y-intercept. Soon they won't give us that. Not today, but next time. We'll have to find them ourselves. But the weird thing is, you see how they listed the y-intercept as like an ordered pair on this guy? I'm just going to plot it for a second. Isn't this point right here 0, -1? Are you with me on that? Like, so isn't the y-intercept literally the number -1 in that case? Because if the x is 0. So slope, -3. Don't forget the x has got to go next to it. And then plus a -1 is written as -1. So start at the y-intercept of -1, and then rise and run. If the slope is -3, remember it's still -3 over +1, right? So I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3. Where did I go down from? From the y-intercept, from that blue dot where I started. So down 3, and then I got to go to the right 1 because it is a +1. So the down was because the 3 was negative and the 1 was positive. So I'm going to do it again. Down 3. To the right 1, down 3, to the right 1. And once you get 4 points, connect them together with your straight edge. And then we might run into some weird typing situations on homework. We'll have to play with it to see what they accept, because I'm going to do this next one in proper mathematical form. So like, I know my slope and I know my y-intercept, correct? You know, so I can just substitute those in. But I'm not going to write -1 because have you guys seen that if there's just nothing in front of a letter, there's supposed to be the number 1 there, right? They also let that happen with a negative sign. So like if you have a negative in front of the x, it means that there is -1 x's in that spot. We'll see how they want you to type it in on homework today. If they make you type the -1, then type the -1. If they don't make you, you don't have to. Y-intercept of -7. Cool. So where should I start? Where should I start? Here's the big boo-boo that happens to people, you know, like a year later when they haven't graphed in a while. They start right there. Why is that wrong? Why is that not the y-intercept? That is the x-intercept. Are you with me on that? So watch out. It's an honest mistake. We're going to start on the y-axis. That's why it's called a y-intercept. And then what's the slope? It's very confusing for a lot of people. It's -1 over 1. Are you with me on that? So let's go down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. And connect those dots together. In all of those previous examples, our slope was like an integer in that case, you know. So now we get into the more common situations. You see they gave us a slope, but he's a fraction this time. That's actually more convenient for us, right? It looks kind of scary, but it's more convenient. So y will equal 2/3 x. And then what do you want to put for a y-intercept? Is it 0 or is it 1? It is 1. It is 1. So let's start at the y-intercept of 1. And why the fraction is more convenient? Because it shows you your rise and it shows you your run. Shouldn't we rise 2, run 3? Rise 2, run 3. Rise 2, run 3. Rise 2, run 3. Rise 2, run 3. And then connect those together. Cool. I'll let you do number 5 with a neighbor, and then we'll kind of talk about number 6 together. So pause the video, try number 5 on your own. So here's what I got, right? I got my y-intercept of 4. I went down 1 to the right 4. This is how I want you to do it on paper, right? But on the computer, it's a little different. You will only graph 2 points to connect the line together. So you start with the y-intercept, and then you rise and run and plot another point, and boom, the line will show up. So you only need 2 points on the computer to do it. When we do it on paper, I would like 4. Let's talk about number 6, why he's weird. Y would equal -3/5 x, and then what would you like me to write when the y-intercept is 0? Should I put +0 at the end? It's not wrong. It's very mathematically immature to put +0 on that. So we're not going to do it. And homework shouldn't want that either, right? If it does, I will get rid of that problem and find a different one for next year. So that means we start at 0 on the old y-axis, right? Which is right there at the origin, starting at 0. And then we're going to run into another problem for Mr. Fonestiel here. To do 4 points, I'm going to go down 3 and to the right 5. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go down 3 and to the right 5. And I'm out of room. I can no longer continue to go down 3 and to the right 5. So I have to go the other direction. I'm going to start back at the y-intercept. And instead of going down 3 and to the right 5, you could go up 3 and to the left 5. And those will all line up. If you can put 4 points on there, we're going to put 4 points on there. Sometimes you can't even do that. Like, we'll run into that later. But we'll put as many as you can. 4 is enough. What do you think, man? That's steak and potato form right there, man. You need a slope. You need a y-intercept. Slope, intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. One of the most popular things. If you ask a person that's old school and they go, what class are you in, algebra? They probably go, oh yeah, y equals mx plus b, baby. You know, you do it a lot. So speaking of which, can you see that this dude right here is an equation? It's got x's and y's with it, but it is not in slope-intercept form. It doesn't go y equals mx plus b. This is where I will require work shown again on paper for your homework assignment. Our job is to like put this in slope-intercept form. And the fancy way to say it is we just got to get y all by itself on one side of the equal sign. Trying to get y all by itself. I will also require the same work shown that I want you to show these baby steps today. I've done this long enough. We're going to use baby steps until I tell you we don't need to use baby steps anymore. Is that okay? So here's my thing. I would like to get this all by itself. Is there anything being added or subtracted to that red box at all? There sure is. There sure is. Do you see this? Plus 2x. I know it's on the other side of it, right? But you see how there's a 3y in the red box, and it is not by itself. There is a plus 2x on that side. I would like to get rid of that plus 2x. I need to make it go to the other side. How do you get rid of plus 2x? You will subtract 2x from both sides, and we will show these baby steps. So we will show, sorry, I thought I had an eraser. Let me do minus 2x. On this side, see, here's my equal sign in that spot. And I'm going to do minus 2x over here. I'm just going to subtract 2x from both sides. Cool? The cool part is those cancel out. Isn't 2x, take away 2x, nothing, right? 3y comes down. Equal sign comes down. And we got trouble over here, dude. Because one of those has x's with them, and one of them does not. Are you with me on that? Those are not like terms. You cannot take the 9 minus the 2 and get a 7, because one of them has x's and the other one has no x's with it. So I'll give you two options. You watch this first before you write it. Would you like to write 9 minus 2x, or would you like to write negative 2x plus 9? They're both correct, but which one is in slope-intercept form? The red one, where the x's come last, or the blue one, where the x's come first. Y equals mx plus b. Which one do you want, red or blue? We're going to do it the blue way, right? So we are just going to write negative 2x plus 9. Sorry, my stylus is not wanting to work nice for today. Cool. And because I've done this for years and years and years and years, a lot of students think they have gotten y all by itself. They have not. You see there is a times 3 in front of that, right? We need to get rid of the times 3. How do you get rid of a times 3? You're going to divide both sides by 3. Watch me first. I'm going to do it the quote-unquote proper way, which is dumb, and then I'll show you the better way, right? This is the proper way to do it. You're supposed to divide this side by 3 and divide this whole side by 3. Those would cancel, and then you'd get this stupid, ugly little mess right here, which is not in slope-intercept form. Because what you'll have to end up doing then is divide each one of those terms by 3. I think we are smart enough to just realize that's what we should do to get started. So here is what we'll do. Do you see how I'm going to divide that by 3? I want you to show it. You're going to divide this by 3, and you're going to divide this by 3. That is legally dividing both sides by 3, and we're cheating it a little bit because every term over there needs to get divided by 3. So here's what comes down. Those divide out to be 1. Isn't that just a y? It is very likely that this dude right here isn't going to come out nice. We want him to be a fraction, though, because isn't that our slope in that case? Right? So we're going to leave him negative 2/3. There is an x next to it. And most of the time, until we start getting super advanced, that should come out pretty nice right there. What's 9 divided by 3, baby? That's 3. And it is positive. Are you okay with that? Sorry, I'm kind of on top of that graph right there. But are you okay with that? That's only one example. Now let's graph that. This we can easily graph. Could you tell me who's the y-intercept? 3 is. This number right here, the y-intercept, start at 3 on the y-axis. And isn't the slope negative 2/3? So we'll go down 2 and to the right 3. Down 2 to the right 3. Down 2 to the right 3. Try that 4 times. Remember, on homework, you just have to do 2 points. But that's the work that I would like to see. And after a few days, I can tell who's comfortable not showing all those steps and who probably still needs to show those steps, okay? But I want everyone to show those steps until I tell you we can stop. But that's only one example. That's so weird, okay? Let's start over. They want us to put this in slope-intercept form. That's y equals mx plus b. Moral of the story, get y all by itself on one side of the equal sign. What helps a lot of students is circling the dude with the y in it. I don't care if you do that or not, but if you circle the dude with the y in it, I would like to get that dude all by himself on one side of the equal sign first. There is a plus 21x. A lot of people are like, isn't it a minus 21x? And I go, that's a good question. What is in front of the 21? Isn't it positive? Are you with me? It's a positive 21x. So how do you get that positive 21x over to the other side? Subtract. You do not divide it over. You subtract it over. It is being still like added or subtracted. You see there's a minus. So you just move it over to the other side by subtracting it. Those cancel. And here's your danger zone. When you need help, what did I do wrong? I would say 90% of the time it's this. What comes down? Is it 7y or is it negative 7y? It is a negative 7y. Watch out for that. Equal sign still there. These are not like terms, so you put your x stuff first and your non-x stuff second. You can't add those dudes together because they're not like terms. Y is not all by itself, though. There is a, tell your neighbor what that is. Let's just take a little multiple. Is that a minus 7 or is that a times negative 7 with that? We have decided that is a multiply by negative 7. How do you get rid of times negative 7? We're going to divide all three spots by negative 7. And this is where I love our homework program because it's going to make us clean up our signs very properly. This guy is 1. What is a negative divided by a negative, my friends? It is a positive, right? And then 21 divided by 7. Does that clean up? Could I reduce that? What is 21 over 7? It's just a 3. Don't forget your x. And then 42 divided by negative 7 will come out negative, right? You know, and then negative 6. Is that right? Cool. Graph that line, baby. Graph that line. Graph that line. Start at negative 6 on the y-axis. Rise 3, run how much? Rise 3, run 1, right? 3 over 1, baby. Rise 3, run 1. Rise 3, run 1. Rise 3, run 1. I'll let you try number 9 without me. Work together, see if you can get y all by itself. Please show the baby steps. First, try to get this guy all by himself on one side of the equal sign. Nice. So we have subtracted x from both sides. That's our move. And could you guys tell me just out loud what my next move is to get rid of this times 3? What's my next move? Divide by 3, which is scary. This is scary. I'm going to divide by 3 in all 3 spaces. And it gets kind of scary because I know those cancel out. That's 1. But this thing right here is freaking weird looking. Could you tell me what number is really right here in front of x? It's a negative 1, actually, but there is a 1 there. Are you with me on that? So the slope is negative 1/3. And then the x should always go off to the side. Like x doesn't go down in the denominator. It can go in the numerator. It's kind of weird to put it up there. But x should be off to the side plus 5 on that guy, right? Plus 5. Graph that line. Graph that line. Start at 5. Down 1 to the right 3. Starting at 5, down 1 to the right 3, down 1 to the right 3. You can do number 10 next. But this is our first one, I think. This is our first one. How would you get this guy over to the other side? It is a minus 4x. Should you subtract 4x over, or should you add 4x over? Add, like you're doing the opposite, right? So that's our first move. Give that a shot with your neighbor, see what happens. To both sides, plus 4x. Plus 4x. Putting a little line there, showing I'm adding up. And then Do you see that a negative 8y needs to come down? It is not just an 8y. There is a minus in front of it. I know it's a subtraction sign. You know, I get that. But it's still a negative, like 8y. Cool. And then I will divide every term by negative 8. Uh-oh. Oh, that's a 16. I was like, that's not going to come out nice. That'll come out a lot nicer if that's a 16 and not a 6. Cool. Those, peace out, Girl Scout. If your brain starts doing this, you'll thank yourself later. When I divide those out, do the sign first. What should that come out to be, positive or negative? That should be a negative. It's a 4 divided by, it's a positive divided by negative, so it shouldn't be negative. And then instead of writing 4/8, which it's not going to accept on homework, it has to reduce. What does 4/8 reduce to? 1/2. You see, though, it is negative, right? You know, so, and then could you tell me why homework would say that that's wrong? Why would homework say, that's wrong right there? I forgot what? I forgot the X, right? It's so easy to do. It happens, man. Forgot the X, right? So watch out for that. The other thing that could happen is if they weren't using X's and Y's, later they might use A's and B's or C's and D's or things like that. Use the letters that they wanted you to use also. It's like, what did I do wrong? You used an X. They wanted a T, you know. Oh, dang it. So that work shown, I'll tell you which problems they are when we start homework. Well, I do it now for the video people. Those are 11 through 15. Like you'll show work on 11 through 15. I got it all written up for you guys in class. And then the last thing, oh, we've got more of these? Cool. Yeah, we need to do this one. Sorry, I thought we could skip. But hey, what's weird about this guy? I got some X's right here, and I got some X's right there. Aren't those on different sides of the equal sign in that case? Who cares? I would like to get it to look like this. Y equals mx plus b. Don't I want to get Mr. Green Dude right here all by himself on one side of the equal sign? So I shall move this 7x over. How do I move that 7x over there? It is a positive 7x right now. We shall subtract 7x. And what's cool about it this time is I can put it right underneath this dude because aren't those like terms? So goodbye to you. Minus 6y comes down. Equal sign comes down. 2x take away 7x is a negative 5x. And the plus 24 is still there. I don't know if I've mentioned this in your guys' class or not. You see how I'm keeping my equal signs all lined up also? Let's start working on that. Like keep the equal signs nice and lined up. And then I'll do what to get rid of this minus 6 right here? I'm going to have to divide, because isn't there multiplication going on with that? So divide, divide, divide every term by negative 6. And, oh man, does this orange thing simplify? Negative 5 over negative 6. Does it simplify? To what? Positive 5 over 6, right? So the numbers itself doesn't simplify, but the signs do. 5, 6x minus 4. And then we can graph that guy. We can graph that guy. This is a case where I ran out of room. I started at negative 4, rise 5, run 6. Can't do it again. I can't rise 5 and run 6. I'll run off the graph. So I did go down 5 and to the left 6. I could put a point there, but I can't do it again. I couldn't get 4 points on there because the run of 6 is just too much, right? You know, to run 6 is just too much. And then I have number 12 on there because he's got a scary little fraction. You know, we'll deal with that scary little fraction. It's no big deal. But here's how I want you to attempt it. Isn't that where the y is, in that orange box? Can you get that orange box on all by itself on one side of the equal sign first? So I'm going to subtract 3x over. That's what I want to do. 2y over 5 is what was there. And minus 3x plus 2. I just subtracted 3x from both sides. And I know y'all are some pretty smart folks. You've probably been shown that you could multiply both sides by 5/2, like multiply by the reciprocal, and make that go away. To me, I don't want to multiply fractions at all if I don't have to, right? I'm going to ask you to try this my way and see as we grow in algebra, you'll be like, Funny was right about that. That's way easier, right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of it in a few moves. I would like to get rid of that ugly thing right there, which says divide by 5. How can I get rid of divide by 5? We're going to multiply every term times 5. Sometimes people like to even put that in parentheses so they can see what they're doing. And the whole point of taking this times 5 is, doesn't this times 5 and that divide by 5 cancel each other out, right? But you're still left with 2y. Are you with me on that? But everything else has to get taken times 5 as well. So I will have a minus 15x, right, and a plus 10. Are we okay with what I have done there? Now, the next move is super simple. There's this times 2 right here. I want to get rid of the times 2. Don't you just divide every term by 2? So divide by 2. Sorry, it's not a pen. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Y will equal, oh my God, negative 15 halves x plus 5. And what we're going to learn is that one you won't be given on homework, because when I typed it out, I didn't pay that close attention. That's going to be a hard one to graph, right? We start at 5, and to go down 15 into the right 2 is pretty stinking hard when your graph doesn't go that way, right? So I think you get how to graph. This won't happen to you on the test. It won't happen to you on the quiz. I just made a typo and kind of missed that. Is that okay? So just, we'll still graph rise over run like we always have. Cool? But how did you feel about me getting rid of that fraction, right? Do it in 2 moves, right? Do it in 2 moves. All right. Now let's do some stories. So I'll let you read this story, and I'll let you talk with a neighbor after that. Which one of those things would represent like a slope, which I haven't talked that much about today. Slope is like a constant rate of change, like what things are changing by constantly. And a y-intercept is like your initial starting value, right? So read that, see which one you think. Let's start with slope. Which one do you think is the slope, the 20 or the 300? I said slope. The slope is a constant rate of change. Which one do you feel, the 20 or the 300? The 20. Here's a secret. Not every time, but I would say 90% of the time. Do you see that it has the word per next to it also, like $20 per month, you know? That's a big fat clue that that's the slope. So the slope would be 20. And the y-intercept is like her initial starting value. Doesn't the 300 make sense? That's how much she started with, right? So there's your slope. There's your y-intercept. Cool. Please write that equation in slope-intercept form. You are given a slope. You are given a y-intercept. Just rock that. Check it with mine. And tell me why mine is wrong. Mine is wrong. What is wrong with it? X. It happens to everybody, man. When you're typing stuff in, the other thing people forget is they forget to put the y equals at the beginning. It's like, oh, you wanted that? You know, yes, we need that, you know. So are we cool with that? Then let's read this right here. Yolanda is looking to buy a nice TV and will need $1,400 to do so. Use your equation to figure out how many months it will take her to afford the TV. Little bit of smartness from last time. They want you to find how many months. What would you wager if we like labeled the graph on this, the x-axis and the y-axis, months would go on? Would months be like the x value on the x-axis, or would months be on the y value? Time. Time is x, right? You know? So they're asking me to find x. Are you with me on that? Solve for x. That means that this number here has to be a y value. So what we will do is we will substitute that into our equation, and you will do work shown on these questions as well. I don't need work shown on this, this, or this. There was no work to show, right? But part 4 of the homework question, you need to do some work. So we will write 1,400 equals 20x plus 300. Do you see how I substituted 1,400 in for y into the equation that we wrote? Because y is how much money she has, and x is how many months she's saving it. Cool? Now, we're back to chapter 1, dude. Chapter 1, could you solve that for x? All right, what's our first move? Subtract 300. That's where, I don't care if you show baby steps or don't show baby steps, right? But the stuff with all the x's and the y's, I want you to do baby steps, right? So I'm going to subtract 300 from both sides. Wouldn't that be 1,100 equals 20x? Are you with me on that? And then what's my next move? Divide by 20. Oh, no. Is that going to come out nice or not too nice? What did you get? 60 what? What did you get? 55. Okay, that did come out nice. 55. Are we okay with that? Let's put a label on it. 55 what? $55 or 55 months? Isn't it X is months on that situation? So I require this work shown on your homework for that fourth part. There's part 1, 2, 3, and 4. The fourth part, you need to show work. So let's see if you can do that again. Could you do the first 3 parts with a neighbor? Do the first 3 parts. And this is so close, but so far away. That's so close to being right. And yes, you can have a decimal on this. Are we talking about them being fractions? We'll leave it a decimal, right? It's totally fine on this because we're not going to graph it. What's just not quite right with that, though? No, it's cool that it's a decimal, right? It's cool with that. Why does it have to be a negative? Because is Rick gaining weight or is he losing weight? So we got to outsmart the system and realize that slope should be negative 1.5, right? Anytime you want to graph something, like when there's a graph, we want our slope to be a fraction. Do you see how they're not making me graph it here? So a decimal's fine. There's going to be decimal ones on your homework. So y equals negative 1.5x plus 223. And x, wouldn't that be weeks? Isn't that like the unit of time in here? This is weeks. So x is weeks. They say, how long will it take him to get down to 195 pounds? When they're asking us how long, we want to solve for x. That's a unit of time. So the 195 goes in for y. 195 is his weight, and I would like to solve that for x. And again, story problems, decimals make a lot more sense. It's just weird to say Rick wants to lose 3/2 pounds every day. It's like 1.5 pounds makes more sense, but 223, thank you very much. 223. And then we just kind of subtract that over. So 195, take away 223. Oh, no, that's going to be negative, right? What do you get when you subtract that over? Sorry, can't find my calculator. Negative what? 20 what? 28. Oh, no, it's negative. Where is it going to be so nice that it's going to turn into positive? Why will this turn into a positive answer? Because we have to do what right here? Divide by a negative again. So what does that turn out to be? What is negative 28 divided by 1.5? Watch this. I'm not even going to type the negatives in. Once you get smart like that, why do the negative 28 divided by negative 1.5 when you know a negative divided by negative is a positive? So, oh no, 18.6 repeating. What do you think homework's going to want for an answer? How many weeks will it take him to get down to that weight? I'll give you an option. Will it take 18 weeks or will it take 19 weeks? Yeah, this is more than 18 weeks. It will happen in the 19th week somewhere, like probably on a Thursday, kind of stuff. So we're cool with that? Let's do some homework. Work shown required for you, 9 and 10. You'll do that on the fourth part. Show that on the last part. And then the last ones is 11 through 15. This is where I want you required work shown.